Hey guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. What we're going to be doing in this video is looking at 10 games that are well thought of in the community and probably in the media. But for me, I think some of these games, I'm not saying they're bad games, but I just think some of them are really overrated. I think they're just really average and they have a lot of issues with them. But some of these games are actually really well designed. I just don't think that they make particularly great games once you play them in length. Anyway, without further ado, let's have a look at the 10 games I think are probably overrated on the Evercade. So first game is Burger Time. Now I know some of these are going to be a really unpopular decision, but it's just an opinion. I'm sure there's a lot of people really love this game and probably every game I've included on this. But for me, I find that they're overrated. I don't really get a lot of enjoyment out of it. Even though Burger Time, it has maybe minimal enjoyment, I find it very frustrating to play. The fact that you always get stuck in the ladders and then you get captured by the sausages or eggs, and it just becomes really frustrating. Even though you can probably play this for 5 minutes or so and probably enjoy it to a small extent, I think you will eventually get frustrated, and it's one of these games I'm not going to come back to very often, if at all. I just get kind of bored quite easily and frustrated, and for me I think it's probably an overrated game. I mean, obviously this is the NES version, but I just don't really enjoy it. Okay, next on the list, Earthworm Jim. Now this is probably going to be an unpopular decision as well. Earthworm Jim was obviously originally Mega Drive SNES. It's certainly a very well designed game. It looks fantastic, sounds fantastic. There's a lot going right for this, and I suppose initially it is quite good fun to actually play, but extensive play, trying to get very far in the game, it is very, very difficult, and I just feel it has a lot of frustrating, and you play the game and you think, what the hell is actually going on? It is absolutely bizarre, and I've never actually figured out what the heck is this bit all about. The cow is launched. What does that mean? I have no idea. Anyway, I just don't know, I just think it's probably overrated. I think even when I had it in the Mega Drive, I never got far. I remember playing maybe this level over and over, getting stuck and getting stuck at the sort of end boss guy, which is unbelievably difficult. And yeah, you do die a lot, and then I suppose at least you have the save states on the Evercade, but I just get a little bit overly frustrated. And it has minimal enjoyment. Again, I think it looks fantastic, no doubt about it. The design is absolutely top notch, but the boss here is just dead frustrating, and I think I just get fed up and I just stop playing. But yeah, I still think it's a slightly overrated game for me. There's no doubt it's an absolutely bonkers game, and the design is fantastic. Now, a lot of the sound here does sound as if it's been ripped straight out of Aladdin. Clearly it's obviously the same person that made the games, but yeah, what is actually going on in these levels? Great design, but weird. Nope. Okay, next game is ClayFighter. Now, I know there's a big community out there that absolutely love ClayFighter, and again, like Earthworm Jim, the design of it is absolutely brilliant. The characters, the animations, it all looks absolutely brilliant, sounds really good. But I think what lets this game down for me, it's just got zero playability. There's very limited moves. It's boring, you're just hitting a few buttons, and I just feel as if I have limited control over these characters, and I just get completely bored. And it is quite tricky to actually play. It's tough. I just feel, nah, it's just not for me. I just don't have any reason to want to play this any longer than maybe a couple of minutes just to sort of see what it's like. And I've never liked it. I played it way back on the Mega Drive as well and just never really enjoyed it. Didn't see what all the fuss was about. Next game is Coffee Crisis. Now this is a fairly new game on the Mega Cats Collection 1, and this is probably the reason why I'm actually doing this video, is this game here. It looks fantastic, plays really well, it's so well designed, looks great, but when it comes to actually playing it, it's obviously meant as a kind of a beat 'em up game. It's just, I don't know, it's just so boring. They have limited moves. I mean, your sort of attack thing here you've got is actually a coffee bean bag, and it just has very limited impact. I don't really see the point. I mean, if you had a choice of attacking someone, you wouldn't use a beanbag, would you? Anyway, but what a great design game this is. It looks brilliant, the story's funny, it's got so much going for it, but I just got bored, I just get fed up. I felt my attacks had very limited sort of impact, And I just didn't enjoy it. I really didn't enjoy it. I know you can get different weapons like baseball bats and stuff, but I think I got to the point I really kind of get bored and fed up, and I really wasn't enjoying playing it, which, you know, obviously that's the main point of playing games. You want to enjoy it and want to play more, and I got to the point I really didn't want to play this game anymore, and I just felt it's such a shame. It's got so much going for it, but just a little bit overrated. I think there are better beat 'em ups out there. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad game, I just think there are better beat 'em ups there that probably deserve your time better than this one. Okay, unpopular decision time. Double Dragon's on the list of overrated games. Now, I first played Double Dragon way back in the Commodore 64 days, and it was probably one of the first games I bought on cassette. And even it was so well rated in all the magazines at the time, I remember it and I thought, oh, that looks great. And at the time, obviously in the arcades when I got it, there was like Final Fight, Street Fighter, there's so many great games. So I thought, oh, I really love beat 'em ups. So you decide I'm going to buy Double Dragon. That was one of the best rated beat 'em ups available on the computers at the time. And you get it home and it's just very disappointing. I think obviously we were spoiled by what was in the arcades at the time, and a lot wasn't really represented when you got to home computers. Now this is the NES version of Double Dragon, and I've just never enjoyed any version I've played of Double Dragon. So many people out there absolutely love it, and that's fine, totally respect that. But for me, I've never enjoyed it. Not even the arcade version. I just find it really overrated. Just a couple of button bashing and it's just boring. I mean, I don't really even get what's going on here. Just sort of playing around with it, and the enemy doesn't want to come down the ladder anymore to face me. But what an overrated game for me. I know there's a lot of people out there who really love this game, and I apologise, but I just can't see why it's popular and why there's so much love for it. I just find it extremely dull and boring to actually play. Okay, next game is California Games, which has probably been in every single format you could think of, and it's been quite popular. I know there's a few people out there that absolutely love this game. Mr. Links Cade on Instagram, for example, he loves this game, but for me, I don't really see why. I just don't get it. I just find it's very frustrating. Like, for instance, the bike section here, you really just got a minimal time, you need to do some stunts, try and get to the end, best time, but it's frustrating as heck. The controls feel really limited, you feel as if you're really just going to crash all the time. It is one frustrating game to play. I think it does take a long time to actually master the controls, and I think once you maybe master them, you may get a little bit better. But some of the other sort of disciplines that you play here are a lot harder to master than others, and sometimes you'll probably just give up in sheer frustration. Like playing the BMX part is okay, but playing onto the skateboarding, my god, it is unbelievably difficult to actually grasp what the heck you're supposed to do, and it's unclear, and the instruction manuals aren't even that clear either. So eventually I did actually master this to a reasonable point to get a decent score, and it's all about pressing the up and down button at the right time so that you can go up and down the sort of half pipe here, but it's horribly frustrating. It's not clear what you're supposed to do, and you try to do stunts, you'll just crash. Such a shame. I think it could be a game here, but it doesn't matter what format you play this game on, it is incredibly difficult and pretty frustrating to actually play. But apologies out there, I know some folk love it, I don't really like it, I think it's overrated. Okay, next is Soccer Kid. This is one of the games I really wanted to love, but quick here, do you know that you can actually change your strip colour by pressing the shoulder buttons here? Pretty fascinating, but pointless pretty much. But anyway, it's one of these games, I think it looks fantastic, sounds great, but I don't know, I just think the mix of the football, it kind of frustrates, so it doesn't actually stick to your feet all the time. You need to either, so it becomes a kind of a mix between trying to play a football as your weapon and being a platform game. And you know, there's a lot going for it, but it's very difficult, very frustrating. The enemies come in very fast. Before you know it, you're probably going to lose a point here, and it's not like you can't really jump in their heads. You need to sort of use the football as your weapon, or just avoid them altogether. and yeah, you die a lot, and I just got frustrated. I wanted to like the game. I did play it quite a bit, but eventually I realised that this game really was not fun to play. Even though it kind of looks nice, it's just really not a lot of fun. You feel as if you're just, when you play it, you edge slowly. You know, you can't really play it at pace or you're most likely going to die. You need to do each stage very, very slowly. And I don't know, it just gets a little bit frustrating. I do remember it being well reviewed at the time when it was released, I think on the Amiga at the time, but for me I just found it boring. Okay, next is probably another unpopular opinion, is Anguna, which is an RPG on the Indie Heroes collection. Now, I'm not saying this is a bad game, it's certainly not a bad game. I just feel there's a lot of people absolutely love this and are sort of drooling and being really excited about it as if it's some kind of Zelda clone, but I just found it extremely repetitive, very dull, very boring. There's very little guidance to where you're supposed to go. When you actually get out the main dungeon at the start here, there's no actual guidance to where you're supposed to go. You really just wander aimlessly to each dungeon and try and figure out what you're doing. There's no sort of guidance where you go next. It's really up to you what you do. You might think that's quite a good thing, but you end up just becoming a complete wandering fool. You don't know what you're doing. There's actually better ways to sort of play it. There's some dungeons are better visited first, for example, but you don't really know that when you're playing it. You have no clue. And a lot is just really clearing the enemies, getting the key, getting this upgrade, getting the next one. It's just boring, and that music doesn't change all the way through the game. It's the same repetitive music, and eventually it just absolutely annoys. It really does irritate you eventually. It is pretty difficult as well. It gets a bit frustrating because you have minimal reach, but you do get more weapons as you go. And you know, I did enjoy it to an extent, to be honest, I really did, but I got frustrated. And one of the things I don't like here is I've lost all my save states on the latest firmware update, so I can't really go back and play from where I was at, and I really don't want to anyway, so I don't really mind. Okay, next game, Splatterhouse 2. Now, this is another game that's actually amazingly well designed. It looks fantastic. It's got great music, great sound, great graphics, great story. Just unfortunately I feel that the actual gameplay element is unbelievably dull, repetitive. I know a lot of people really like this game. It was fairly well rated at the time, but I think it's really bang average to actually play, and it's just unbelievably dull, and it's very difficult. The further you get, you just die quite a lot. The collision detection can be a little bit iffy. The bosses are really frustrating. I mean, the design is fantastic. If you like your sort of horror elements, you'll probably love this. And I know a lot of people do, but for me, playing through it, and which I did to actual completion, I just found it really dull and ultimately extremely frustrating as you play. I can't imagine trying to play this on the Mega Drive or SNES at the time, trying to actually complete it without save states. I mean, I think you probably could learn the move, because it does have that familiar repetitive element, like the bosses, for example. This is the last boss. It's the same way every time. You just need to learn the moves and what to do, so you will eventually get it, but it's difficult, it's frustrating. I just think it's not really that great, to be honest. Okay, last game is Worms. Now, this game, I just don't get why so many people like it. Now, I could choose any of these games here. Now, Worms I'm not going to pick, because there is some fun to actually have from that. So I'm just going to look at the original Worms, which was on the Mega Drive or SNES, and I don't know, I think the Evercade version we have, the button mapping is absolutely horrific, and it doesn't help trying to actually even start a game. You keep pressing the wrong buttons. It's not actually totally clear how to start a game. And some of this footage I took from the first time playing the game, I was completely clueless in what to actually do. And it doesn't help that the button mapping doesn't correspond to what you see on the screen, so you're pressing all the wrong buttons. It becomes an absolute mess, and it really becomes no fun to play. And if you're playing this on like an Evercade handheld, look how small the sprites are. Unbelievably difficult to see, and I accidentally pressed the quit button to go back to the main screen. I think it's an overall frustrating, overrated game, but some of the later series there's definitely fun to have, but with your friends and as a multiplayer game only. Okay guys, let me know what your opinions are. Do you agree, or are there other games that you think are overrated that we should be looking at as well? Anyway, thanks for watching, please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you again next time. Bye for now.